video is on shape recognition. Now there are actually two different ways that you can recognize your shapes. The first one, I'm going to take my pen tool off of my toolbar, and I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to draw a circle. Now that's pretty close to what I want my circle to look like, but if I want it to be perfectly perfect, then I can go over here to my selector tool, select my shape, right click, and go down to recognize shapes. That pen drawn circle is now a perfectly round circle. I can do the same thing if I want to make a triangle. I can use my pen, I can come over and draw my triangle. The one thing that you do want to make sure is that you connect all your pieces so that it'll actually recognize that shape. Once I do that, select my shape, right click, and then recognize shapes. And now it's a perfectly drawn triangle. My kids in my classroom think it's magic because Mrs. Haney can draw perfect shapes. And they love to see it kind of transform how it does. The second way to make or do shape recognition is with the shape recognition tool. Underneath my shapes, if I left click and hold down, or if I right click on my shapes button on my toolbar, the very last one is shape recognition. When I choose shape recognition, you can see my pen tool is automatically going to come up. And what I can do now is I can draw a shape. And it will do the same thing. It's going to transform that shape. Now, the cool thing about both of these is these shapes are now editable. Learn more about that in the Creating Shapes video, but I can take this and I can change the color if I want to and really make it cool. When I'm using the shape recognition button on my toolbar, remember the left click and hold down or the right click, I can actually predefine what I want my shape to look like before I even use my shape recognition tool. So to do that, I'm going to say, okay, I want to make a shape, or let's say a square in this case, and it's going to have a blue outside and a yellow inside, and I want to give it a square dot border. Now when I use my shape recognition tool and I draw my square, the instant that I'm done, it's going to automatically set those settings or use those settings that I put together to create my shape. So kind of a fun way to do that. Now the possibilities are endless of how you could use this in your classroom, but a little example here would be if you are out on the playground, or maybe you take a picture of the playground and you want your kids to be able to show you what shapes they find in real life. So I have my kids come up, they use the shape recognition tool, and they say, okay, well, I see a triangle here, I see a rectangle here, and I see another rectangle right here. So you can see how there are lots of different ways. The possibilities are truly endless on how you can use shape recognition. If nothing else, get those perfect shapes so that the kids know exactly what shape you're talking about. And that's shape recognition.